All right, let's head over now to Flavio Volpe. He is on the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations, also president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association. Flavio, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me on again.
I want to ask you, because you've been in those boardrooms, you've been in those meetings, for our listeners to know, you've been there in these trade negotiations. How do you think Canada did yesterday? From Justin Trudeau's speech to Doug Ford's feisty words, how do we do on day one of this trade and tariff war?
Well, I think the Prime Minister was as resolute as he was on January 31st. Obviously, there was a little bit more drama the first time. We don't need drama. We just need to get to the point. I thought that was good. I thought Doug Ford is playing a pretty good bad cop. I was very pleased to see Pierre Poilievre out there as well, at essentially the same time, on the same day, making it clear that everybody here is on the same team for the country.
I'm just looking at one of your tweets from yesterday, Flavio, and you said, "I don't get paid to fight. I do that part for free." What did you mean by that?
I mean, I represent an industry where peace is important, stability, forecastability. I get paid to make sure that the regulatory framework is clear, the trade framework is clear, and that people can get, companies can get accounts with global automakers that last for 5 or 7 years. But we're in a fight right now, and I don't have to look at my job description to know what is expected. It is, morning, noon, and night. Washington, Huntsville, Lansing, Wolfsburg, Tokyo, whatever it takes. This is a moment where all of those gains you and I talked about over the last few years are meaningless unless we can solve this crazy problem we have where the President of the United States is against us.
So yesterday we heard from the Prime Minister. He was asked if he had spoken to Donald Trump. He said he's been trying, but he was not successful. And now this morning they're supposed to speak on the phone. So the Prime Minister and President Donald Trump are supposed to speak this morning. What do you think the message is going to be when they get to talk to each other once again?
I'll just tell you what the pattern usually is. The president will do what he wants to do, and then and push off the Prime Minister and also push off the President of Mexico. Then he does it, and then he goes back to talking to them, usually when he's looking to do a deal. And we heard yesterday Howard Lutnick, who is his Commerce Secretary, was loud about it, but we do know that he was working the phones in Ottawa. He got on the phone with Doug Ford. Doug Ford is getting a call from the Secretary of Commerce. I don't know if that means we're in on another planet or not, or that Doug Ford is really taking it to them. And they also got on the phone with the Mexicans. And what they said was, there's some room to move back. Remember, 2 days ago, I said there was no room to move back. There's some room to move back because they've done really well on the border. Mm-hmm. I think they watched the Dow Jones crash yesterday. Mm-hmm. I think they got calls from Republicans and car makers and said, I don't know what you're doing, but get off of it right now. So let's see if that deal is workable, reasonable. Our position is no tariffs. What are you doing? We've done so many things together, and we have so many things that they could use, from aluminum to critical minerals to advanced technologies. Let's see what happens.
Can the Canadian auto industry and the auto parts industry in this country survive any level of tariffs? Because let's say there is that compromise position, they walk it back, and maybe auto is hopefully exempt, but let's say it ends up with 5 or 10% or something like that. Is there any level of tariffs that is survivable?
I think that's a question better answered by each of the individual companies. You should know, and your listeners should know, they operate in 6 and 7% profit margins. So, if you lose 1%, that's 16% of your profits. If you lose 3%, people say, it's just 3%. Well, that's half of your profits. If you lose half of your profits, how do you reinvest in the next program? And what does that mean for the stability of the jobs of the people that you employ in that plant? And there's no reason for there to be a tariff. The Americans do so well by us. a tariff would just be arbitrary, so someone can make a point that nobody understands.
You worked on the new NAFTA USMCA, right?
Yeah.
Based on how you worked and what you saw during those negotiations, does it tell you anything about the negotiations that must be going on right now?
His style is to push really hard publicly and say that there is no negotiating room.
Mm-hmm.
And then he puts his people on it. And his people typically, Lutnick may be acting a little goofy for a government, for a cabinet minister, but he's a former head of Cantor Fitzgerald investment bank. He knows math.
Yeah.
And so this is the way it usually goes. This is why I've said, on your show many times, let's not react to everything he says. Take him seriously. But, we learned not to take the position as fact, but you take his posture as fact, and then you try to work it down.
When I hear about how Doug Ford handled that phone call, the quote-unquote tough phone call with Howard Lutnick, and you hear about just how devastating it could be, right, if tariffs went into effect, especially for Ontario and manufacturing there. Yeah. Just to wrap us up here, on that, for Canada's automotive industry, just how bad is it right now?
It's very bad. In essence, this tariff represents every day's shipment with 25% tariff on it represents the entire week's profit. So every day that we run with this tariff, you're writing off your profit for the week. Now, how many weeks of profit can you wipe out before you run out of weeks and you're going insolvent? I'll tell you the answer is one. And for some, it's none. It's bad.
We'll end on that dark note, Flavio.
Yeah, sorry.
No, but
you only get candor from me, right?
Yeah, well, but that means we need a negotiated settlement to whatever's going on right now. We need it sooner than later. We need it now, not tomorrow. Yeah,
now, not tomorrow. Or the option is we shut it down ourselves. Don't burn through your cash for the President of the United States. You've got to figure it out.
Flavio, thanks so much for hopping on this morning. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Alex.
Flavio Volpe is president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association. He's a member of the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. Relations.